We got some more Hearthstone action. After this series, we have StrifeCro versus Nalguidan, both of their first time appearing for this season of Grandmaster. Nalguidan is quite possibly one of the most vocal critics of Specialist as a format, and consequently, the most vocal advocate for Conquest and multi-class formats. He was a player that very much built his name off of Conquest, so it's no surprise that he's very fond of multi-class. So I just want to put it out there. There's not many more excuses Nalguidan can have, although I do think best of 3 is one that's a little bit more valid, given that he is more comfortable playing best of 5. And I think most players would agree that best of 5 tends to lead to less variance and more skillage.
Yeah, but it's time to put his money where his mouth is, and see if
we offset it with more series being played.
Exactly. And we've heard, especially in Europe, a lot of talk about, of course, best of 5 would be better, but I feel like we'd broadcast 100 hours of Hearthstone in a weekend, right? If we went to best of 5 and have less series, and then players would be asking for
best of 5 Specialist Warrior Mirrors TJ.
Then if we went that way, players would be like, best of 5 is great, but it really would be great to play more than 7 series a season. So there's always a balance we have to strike. And
sure.
Of course,
let's just play best of 19.
Yeah,
you're playing 7 days a week, 10 series a day.
Yeah,
they'd still find a way to complain.
They would, and obviously
I would complain. That's way too much Hearthstone.
It's way too much. Obviously, the team has showed that, of course, willing to make changes. A big format change with very little testing, implemented in the 6 weeks between season 1 and season 2.
That's the Hearthstone Esports.
Yeah, and maybe more changes to come in the future if players end up not liking this. Keep in mind that this format was advocated, by the players. By the players for the players.
Yes, all 3 of them that showed up to testing. I mean, they talked about it a lot in chat, and some of them said that it already just sounds a lot better.
Yeah.
And, that some of them felt like they were really busy with playoffs and whatnot. They wanted to test. But after testing it for a couple of days, people said, you know what, this already just feels much better. And then, they were already, being our evangelists. They're like, yeah, don't worry about playing in the other the other testing matchups. It's just better, guys.
I would like to put on the record here that I was the champion of the first ever Conquest Shield tournament.
You won.
I won the very first test tournament of Conquest Shield.
Yes.
Oh my God. Just want to put that out there, throw that out there.
Just want to put it out that America's still the best caches in internal tournaments.
That's right.
We're 2 for 2 in the tournament that we played.
That's right.
We actually didn't play the
finals.
We
didn't play the finals.
Our caster
but it didn't matter. It was me and Dan were in the finals of the first in-house caster tournament, and then the first test tournament, which was a mix of casters and players. The finals was me versus Sottle, and I beat him.
Well, of course.
I mean, of course, it's
Sottle.
Also, it's Americas versus Europe.
Yeah.
That match was decided before
the first card was drawn.
Also, before time even began.
Yes. I know Admirable's in the back room playing Hearthstone. I think Sato's still adjusting to jet lag, so he probably went home.
Yeah.
I really, really hope that he's watching on his phone as he's on his walk back.
Yes.
He does. Yeah. There's one thing that Europe casters love more than casting Europe. It's watching the Americas broadcast to listen to what we say about them.
Mm-hmm. And we don't care.
And we clearly don't care, even though we bring it up every single week.
We watch muted.
Yeah, we don't count as viewers. StrifeCro, by the way, donning some new blonde hair. We're refusing to talk about anything happening on the screen, by the way.
Yeah, yesterday we spent the first 5 minutes of the Muzzy Purple match talking about Muzzy's mustache, and today we're going to spend the whole time talking about
Super Saiyan StrifeCro.
That's right.
He should have said that he died in preparation for his match against Sans, but Sans playing later today against the PNC. As Saiyans going to look to improve on his Season 1 performance. StrifeCro, I got a chance to hang out with him a lot in Korea. And it was a really nice way to tap into his mindset, and he is so excited for Season 2. StrifeCro already is one of the players that highly valued the Grandmaster system, saying that he felt like it was playing directly into his strengths. He loves preparation. He loves playing in long formats. He really thinks that's where his skill gets to shine, and he was really excited for Season 2. And it was great because, I think StrifeCro, when he's motivated, is one of the scariest players in America. It's almost a curse of his ability. Because he was so smart and he was very naturally talented, he took it easy in a lot of other Hearthstone tournaments in the past. But for Grandmasters, he feels it's right at home.
Yeah, and I don't think he looks at it as naturally talented. I think he looks at it as he thinks he's one of the few players left that, like, literally analyzes everything, right? He goes back, analyzes turns. He ropes, right? That's like the indicator, but he's not roping just for the sake of roping. He's roping because he really does think ahead and has a game plan formulated from the get-go that he tries to adhere to throughout the course of the game. So says that he doesn't play by instinct at all, despite having played for so long. 5 years now in competitive play.
Yes, that's right. And that 5 years has led him to a polymorph on the...
it all culminates now. 5 years of play has led up to this very moment.
It's a good play, because if Nalguidan has Range Caliber, or even a Clockwork Goblin, it shuts off any... It just makes potential dead draws in multiple ways. We could draw the bombs and take damage. His opponent gets Blastmaster Boom, and it also shuts off his Reno and Zephyrs if he ends up picking them up. So I do agree with StrifeCro's idea, taking it down. I also agree with Nalguidan fighting for board aggressively and trying to get in the chip damage. This is a tough matchup for Warrior, and you need to be able to fight for tempo and also take away your opponent's ability to strike back.
Yeah, a couple things I like is getting the Spellbreaker out of hand, just because it's a tougher card to use. There's not that many silence targets in this deck. We're thinking like Card 2 Defender and Snip Snap, and that's pretty much it. Also holding on to the Restless Mummies. He had a chance to play Restless Mummy for tempo earlier, but it would get shut down by a ping. And there's a lot of big targets that you want later on in the game that are must kill. That Restless Mummy is great for taking down. Talking about Mountain Giants, Reno, even helping get through Card 2 Defenders. It's such a powerful card to do so.
Yep. Now you're down, of course, playing the Bomb Warrior. We should have probably commented on that as they bring the deck lists up. Yep. He's playing Bomb Warrior. StrifeCro's playing Control Warrior. That seems to be the difference in the lineups at a first glance. StrifeCro picks up the Tortolan Pilgrimist and now has a pretty heavy hand, although still could end up using Blizzard here just to stall for a little bit of time.
Yeah, still needs to find, a game plan here. He's kind of flying by the seat of his pants right now and reacting as the board state comes.
Right.
A couple of key draws would change the direction that you go with this game, because right now he's just trying to move the board and wait for something to show up in his hand that's going to dictate how he plays.
Yeah, great pickup here from Nalguidan. StrifeCro does have a small answer in the form of Acidic Swamp Ooze and Hero Power. Maybe the Vulpera's Scoundrel can even pick up something really nice for StrifeCro to squeeze in the future turns. But like you said, he's working with less life already as the game progresses. Even if he gets Luminous Pocket Galaxy, even if he gets the Reno and the Zephyrs, things could still get dicey when he's working at what effectively feels like 7 life.
Yeah. Conjurer's Calling, that's kind of a card that I was talking about he could pick up that could change the outcome here. He's got to look towards a big Conjurer's Calling play, and I'm thinking try and stop the bleeding right now by playing for board with Acidic Swamp Ooze ping something, and then roll into the Tortolan Pilgrim to try and solidify board position that way. And then either look for a Mountain Giant on 9 with Conjurer's Calling, or a Conjurer's Calling on the Tortolan Pilgrim to look for Alexstrasza plays after that.
Cone of Cold has to at least look appetizing right now. Though I think Ooze and Ping is better. You shut off the bomb. Oh, I like pinging the mech to stop any kind of magnetic ability here.
Yeah, both Snip Snap and Ziliax big threats in that regard, especially since he saw both Town Criers played with no Rush Minions played. And there hasn't been a great opportunity for Nalguidan to play Ziliax, which means that StrifeCro can kind of narrow that down to Ziliax as a big threat that's likely in the hand for Nalguidan.
Right.
We can see that's not, but,
Yeah, Nalguidan wanted to play Blastmaster Boom. Turn 8 is something to hesitate and consider though, because they do have the Tortillon that can come down. 4 boom bots coming out. Big pressure coming out from Nalguidan. Reno gets shut off. Zephyr's gets shut off. StrifeCro might have to go for a Pilgrim, but at the same time, there's a lot of misses on it. You know, what if StrifeCro gets Magic Trick, Ray of Frost, and, you know, like Frostbolt? That doesn't really do anything. Plus it's not even something that he can direct.
Yeah, he'd basically be looking for
Puzzle Box?
Puzzle Box or Frost Nova. And Flame Strike is interesting because in order for Flame Strike to be good, he would have to trade first with Acidic Swamp Ooze, because there's a potential if he doesn't trade and plays the Pilgrim first, he Flame Strikes and then his minions die to the bombs and he can no longer kill off the Dr. Boom with Flame Strike. And I think he realizes that, like, everything's too inconsistent with Pilgrim. Even if he gets Puzzle Box, that's inconsistent in itself. He could just die.
Sure.
And so goes for a little bit of a safer play and puts more minions on the board to be able to try and reduce the amount of damage he takes from these bombs.
Takes 2 to the face. Doesn't get the best outcomes on the 3-mana minions, given that there's a lot of 3/4s in the pool. But Nalguidan he's so close, he can taste it. 2 Morden, Restless Mummy, Amani Warbear, all of them pretty high impact on the board. I think if I'm Nalguidan, I want to squeeze in as much damage as possible, although breakpoints do tend to be in multiples of 5. So if you do put him down to 10, you can trade this Boombot into the 3/1 and try to clear off the board a little bit before you play, say, 2 Morden.
Yeah. The ideal hit would probably be the Kaboom bots, and the Kaboom bot kills the other Boom bot. That Boom bot could kill the little Pure Scoundrel. Yeah. So you get that 10 damage, that 10 health breakpoint, and you clear the board and get to drop like 2 Morden on an empty board,
sure.
Which high value because it's tough to remove in its entirety, and that 3 damage can clock.
That being said, there is a way for StrifeCro to somewhat get bailed out of the situation. If the boom bots end up trading and then going face, StrifeCro can Alexstrasza himself back up to 15. Wow, that's literally the exact situation we were talking about.
Yeah. No, I think he'd rather kill the Scoundrel because of Alexstrasza, but we can
I'm saying StrifeCro gets, like, you know, a breath of fresh air here.
Yeah.
Because Alexstrasza, Alexstrasza, well, it's not really a breath. Alexstrasza looks like she's vomiting after a night of partying and stopping at Denny's at 3 a.m.
Yeah. And then Taco Bell at 5 a.m.
The TJ Super Saturday in a nutshell.
I can't remember the last time I stayed up past midnight. I'll be honest with you. Except for when Ollie was born, and I was
Season 1 of Grandmasters when we casted the Warrior Mirror.
Yeah, I guess so. That was got home at 11 p.m. But I think I want to be greedy with Alexstrasza, to be honest, and try and do something a
like
little
Kona
different.
Cold.
Yeah, Kona Cold and Mountain Giant. Yeah.
I mean, you are at 6, right? So you're technically safe from a bomb.
Runs out on me.
It's scary though.
Man.
Because Alexstrasza now.
But then, are you gonna play Alexstrasza the following turn? You're probably gonna play Caligos.
I bring life.
Yeah, but the thing I didn't like about it is you're taking 6. But I guess you don't know how the board state's going to look moving into the next turn. This gives you options, right?
Right, because now next turn you don't have to Caligos. You can still play Mountain Giant Kona Cold. I mean, Caligos Kona Cold might be what StrifeCro ends up going for, but very back and forth game. And Nalguidan, of course, not happy to see the Alexstrasza, was hoping that he can press in. Still introduced with a couple of questions. For example, Nalguidan could end up dumping the hand and trying to prioritize Azla's Soul Thief. Does that mean he plays the Restless Mummies and just goes for it? I think so. I mean, there's also a case where maybe instead of waiting for the optimal Omega Assembly, he can just try and go for hand dump, right? And go for the Azla. It's a very interesting thought. Ooh. Nalguidan sees a bomb drawn.
All right, this
Danger zone.
This is Puzzle Box.
Yeah.
Almost 100% Puzzle Box, right?
Oh, yeah. Puzzle Box has the added benefit of raising the quarter soul levels of Nalguidan. That's like the secondary text box. It's like a type benefit. You know, you have in Pokemon where it's like being a type gives you a super effective multiplier. It's like against specifically the Latin American players, you get a multiplier effect bonus to Puzzle Box of Yaxaron. Counterspell seems okay, although Nalguidan's hold on to the coin. We often called that the Crip coin back in the day, because Crip would always look for extreme value off the coin, but he just
He would never use it.
He would never use it because he was always saving it for like the optimal coin turn,
Runs out on
and he'd
me.
save it to like turn 8, and he just coins out like a 5-drop and a 4-drop.
Yeah.
I was like, huh.
A lot of throwbacks. Also, StrifeCro just playing Reno Mage in general is a throwback, because that was like his specialty back. Yeah, back when Reno was there. Even before Reno, he was playing that kind of mage.
Okay, Omega Assembly. Give him more bombs. Snip Snap. Omega Devastator. Although he doesn't have Rush off of the mech. So he actually can't kill the Caligos. And that's actually kind of scary. You know, Caligos getting to play a free spell. Assuming we even get to that point. I like this hand dump here from Nalguidan, by the way.
Yeah, set up for potential Azalina Soul Thief with nothing else to do next turn.
I mean, he's in that range where if he Azalinas, he's going to get Antonitis.
Yeah.
No bomb drawn.
All right.
Here's another thing. Puzzle Box of Yaxaron can totally draw cards and draw that bomb.
All right, let's see what happens. He needs heal, board clear.
Okay.
That's a taunt.
Okay. Snake Trap. Inner Fire. It's not that great. Mark the Wild. Uh-oh, where's it going to go? Ah! He's buffing his opponent's board. Oh no, he needed to heal. Okay, very mediocre stuff so far. Discovering a lackey.
Oh no!
Oh, no! Ah! Wait, his hand's full.
Hand is too
He's gonna burn the bomb. No, he burnt the Reno. Okay, all things considering, that was a very middle of the road Yaxaron puzzle box. It generated some stuff. It gave him some cards.
It put more power on the board though,
Right.
for him and his opponent. So it honestly just made things more complicated.
Right, I think he's going for a Conjurer's Calling as a desperation act. Might throw in that counter spell too. Two Grave Horrors.
2 taunts is great here.
Yes, but still, Nalguidan. Oh, and the counter spell off of that.
Yeah. With coin use, I think counterspell has to be the right call here. But StrifeCro, no way to heal back up outside of card 2 Defender.
Oh man, this is some board tension.
Oh yeah. Good old-fashioned board-on-board action.
What if you just don't do anything and just wait for the bomb to be drawn? There's still how many bombs in the deck?
1. 2, because he played the.
He played the Wrench Caliber and the Clockwork Goblin.
Wrench Caliber and a Clockwork Goblin.
2 of them actually.
Yeah.
So 1 bomb got drawn.
Oh, so maybe there's 3.
Looks like there's only 1 bomb in the deck based off of our tracker. I was pulling it up.
I think our tracker came online late because after the Wrench Caliber was played, I noticed there was no bombs in the deck. So I think there's 2 or 3. We've been spoiled.
Just a little bit, but yeah, not gonna matter too much here, I think.
Yeah, we'll see how things go, but dodges a bomb for another turn and picks up Stargazer Luna. Still has Caligos active, which means that Luna's Pocket Galaxy could be played for 0 mana. But the problem is StrifeCro with Luna's Pocket Galaxy would want to kind of draw aggressively here to look for things to quickly end the game, but then that would also get him closer to bombs. There's also potential to play the Archmage Antonitis here and try and set up for a few turn lethal. The risk of that is that he would have to kill him in 2 turns because he knows that Nalguidan plays an Azalina Soul Thief and has already drawn through his deck. So if he leaves Fireballs in hand, it gives Nalguidan just straight
Yeah.
up burn.
Exactly.
So
Going for it.
yeah, I don't think there was really any other options. He has to end the game quickly, or else he's going to keep drawing bombs, and he has to hope that he can kill him in 2 turns, or Nalguidan does not have Azalina Soul Thief yet,
And also not draw bombs.
and also not draw bombs.
I'll ask.
Yeah.
We're trading with the 1/1 just
All right.
to kind of stop any possibility of losing here.
So 10 damage, 15 damage on board with 18 damage, 19 damage available next turn if Caligos survives.
This is scary.
So 19 damage, that would be lethal. This is a 2-turn lethal setup if Nalguidan doesn't remove. But he does find the answer to Archmage Tinnitus, but if he plays Omega Devastator, then he can't Azalina.
Well, what he can do is play... Oh, you're right. So if he plays Azalina, is he dead?
If he plays Azalina, he'll get Counterspell. So he could Counterspell.
The counter... But there's another counterspell, though. Oh, you know what? Seeing counterspell and seeing not being played from the hand also means that Nalguidan should understand that there's a counterspell up. He has that information now. 5, 10, 11, 15, yeah.
This is lethal because he'll get a free fireball from
Unless he
Caligos.
hero powers. What if he hero powers?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, because there is 15 damage on board and he has 19 damage from hand with a free fireball. So this is well over lethal, I do believe.
Yes. StrifeCro counting one more time. That free fireball being huge. That Caligos not dying.
Yeah. Yeah, this is 34 damage, I believe, and Nalguidan's at 31.
Yeah.
And Nalguidan, I think he forgot about the free fireball. He forgot that Caligos is still on the board and that he get 3 fireballs. He calculated and he's like, okay, he has 13 damage from hand, 15 on board, that's 28. If I go to 31, I'm alive.
Right.
But he didn't account for the free fireball from the Caligos, and I think that's why you saw his face reaction there.
Right.
Because he had all the information, right? Essentially. There was no Alex Straza left, he couldn't heal back up, and he decided to go for the Riz. The play that would have kept him alive would have been Omega Devastator, and something else, and then try to get the extra burn damage or wait for the bomb. So unfortunately, just a little bit of a misstep from Nalguidan there ends up costing him. He loses game 1.
Right. Small things like that make it really difficult to play in these mirrors where you have to like understand and remember everything that's going on, but more importantly, hand track and use the clues that are given to you, because even if you're using things like Deck Tracker in those situations, you can get thrown off.
I mean, honestly, it's not even a clue, right? That's like a mechanical error.
Yeah, it's a technical player in the sense that
because he was dead on board with no
should
information.
Know, right? He should know that he's dead on board with the information that was presented. Caligos gives you free spell. Antonius gives you free fireballs, and you should just count like I'm dead if I just hero power here.
Yeah.
More importantly, if he knew that he was dead, he shouldn't have played Azalina in that spot.
Yeah, unless he thought that maybe there was 3 mana remove, but then there's a secret up. So if it's Frost Nova, if your opponent's Frost Nova in hand, you die.
So the play was to play Omega Devastator and then be defensive.
Do anything, be defensive.
Yeah.
He was still healthy outside of that because there was only 1 fireball in hand.
Right.
Even if StrifeCro chucks that fireball to face the player on Azalina, you have a bomb out with 10 cards.
Exactly, with 2 bombs out.
Yeah, 2 bombs, yeah.
Yeah, with 10 cards, so the longer the game goes, his percentage increase. So Nalguidan probably not going to be happy with how that game turned out. He had a lot more game left to be played, but we still have a little bit more series. We'll find out what happens in game number 2. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more Hearthstone Grandmasters action.
Again, darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers and up from the dusty tomb, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. There's surely scorching deserts
Hello, my name is Kong Shu. My handle is StrifeCro. I think my original name was just like Strife. I think I just stole it from someone else that I saw online at the time when I was like 10. One of my favorite esports memory, it was like a dream hack. I ended up having like this like epic, like I don't even know how long this game against Clemto eventually beat me in that game, but I kind of brought the mage to the tournament, not as like, say I thought it was like the best thing ever, but because I just wanted to like show people I could destroy everyone with my kind of like troll deck. The thing I'm most looking forward to in Grandmasters is kind of the dynamic, because I've never really had this like league kind of dynamic in the past. You have 2 matchups a week, and you can kind of like target them. You know, you can start making spreadsheets, see what they play, see what decks are good against the decks that they play. You can even kind of play some mind games like that. I think my play is unique in the sense that I'm very like technical. I don't play a lot on intuition as much. Like I really like to have my thoughts and game plans planned out and go from there. My personal goals this year is kind of to get back into Hearthstone. Because I took such a long break, I feel like I'm finally refreshed and ready to go. So that's one thing I'm just looking forward to get like that motivation back.
I'm Facundo Pruso, more known as Nalguidan. My username is an Illidan reference. I used to play Warcraft 3 a lot. Illidan is my favorite character. Back in the days, I really liked watching RDU stream as well. After I saw him for the first time on some DreamHack tournament, and then I got to beat him on some online tournament finals. That was my first tournament win, my first prize win. That was a very key moment for me in Hearthstone. I think I'm pretty good at recognizing what decks are good and how to improve them. I like the Su playstyle. Some people think it's like broke back deck, but then you have a lot of things to master, and there is a lot of little things in that deck that, of course, you can draw 1, 2, 3, 4 and kill an opponent, but that's not gonna happen every game, and you need to know how to improve your odds. I don't know if other players already respect me or not. In my region, I think they do. I'm not sure about the other Grandmasters. This year, I really want to qualify for Global Finals. I quite didn't make it last year, so that's the main goal. I hear a lot of players say first season wasn't that important, but I think it really is. If you win the first season, you made it to Global Finals.
StrifeCro currently up 1-0 over Nalguidan, who's looking for some redemption. That first game, not really a good way to wrap it up. I think it was a pretty solid back and forth game with lots of decision making, a lot of cool fun, handling the random outcomes of stuff. And at the very finish line, it seems like there's a little bit of a fumble there from Nalguidan, where I actually think he had a real solid chance to win the game. He wasn't in a desperate situation where he needed to Hail Mary and Aslina. I think his percentages were much higher than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with 2 bombs left in the deck, I think that's a pretty crucial error that may cost him for this series. But, Dan, look what we got in front of us.
Ah, just like old times.
A good old, refreshing, delicious Warrior Mirror. Now, it's not a true Warrior Mirror because Nalguidan is playing the Bomb Warrior, and StrifeCro is playing the Control Warrior. So right off the bat, I think Nalguidan has a natural advantage. The one problem for him is that if he isn't able to get that aggression and he isn't able to find an Archivist Elysiana from his Azalina, then he may be in a situation where he loses in fatigue. But that Azalina tech is a big one because it does give him that out in later portions of the game. So I think advantage Nalguidan, but anything could happen in this type of matchup, and we'll see. Because if both players are operating with the same resources, if you think of it that way, StrifeCro has Archivist Elysiana, Nalguidan essentially has one himself,
right,
with Azalina. And Nalguidan has bomb cards and StrifeCro has control tools. He's just operating with 30 more health.
Yeah, it's a different matchup compared to the Warriors versus Warriors that we saw in the past, or even the Bomb Warrior mirrors in the past, which makes it a lot more palatable for people who are just looking at the classes and don't see anything beyond that. Nalguidan's the one's going to be a lot more aggressive.
This is scary.
There's also a lot more. There's also a lot more proactive plays in the decks now with the Frightened Flunky, Armageddillo, and 2 Mordens. There's board states that are way more difficult to beat nowadays than there were the previous Warrior Mirrors. And that kind of makes it a little bit more interesting in the fact that Warrior Mirrors usually end quicker.
Sorry, I'm just...
No, that is the nuts. That is the nuts.
I lost to... So I drew... I was playing Reno Hunter on my way back from Grandmasters yesterday. And I had TJ, what I felt like was very similar to the guide draw with purple. I had Secret Keeper, 2 Secrets, Animal Companion, Mass Contender, into Subject 9, into Brand. I lost. Because I ran into a player that played Frightened Flunky into Frightened Flunky, got 2 Armagadillos, had a 3rd one in hand, and a 2 Morden. This feels very similar to that hand, where it's just like, I just couldn't do, it just got destroyed by amazing stats on the board. And I feel like we might see something similar here. It is absolutely nutty when your opponent gets to do something like that.
Yes, it is.
Because now Nalguidan has to play something. This is the question mark part of the step 1, 2, 3 meme, right? Step 1, get like the Armagadillos and 2 Morden. Then step 2, question mark, and then profit. All you have to do is bridge that gap into turn 4 because you have coin Armagadillo into Armagadillo and then 2 Morden.
Imagine if he picks up
Your magic
another
shall not save
in this question mark phase. Even if he picks one up after the first Armagadillo is played, he still gets the second Armagadillo, which is buffed, by the way, from the first one.
Yes. And then 2 Morden. Ends up with +4/+4, making 2 7/10 taunts.
Yeah, so we're kind of in the golden age right now of this taunt discovery. Because of the fact that we're still relatively early on into a set cycle, there are very little warrior class taunts, and of course discover effects like Frightened Flunky are weighted towards class taunts. So
What'd you just call me?
The only class taunts are 2 Morden, Armagadillo, and Frightened Flunky.
What'd you call me? Say it to my face. Oh, wow. Speaking of which, there's Flabindus Flunky here being drawn by StrifeCro.
Flippin' Flunky.
I mean, it's shaggy that a lot of people call him, which I think it's an appropriate term. You also called him Fred by accident.
Me?
Yeah, you said like the Fred Flunky.
I'm all over with the Freudian slips recently, man.
The Freudian Flunky.
Oh my gosh.
Another taunt. I mean, the Frightened Flunky getting played here.
What'd you call me? It's not gonna get old. It's still good though.
It is. It is. The Freaky Flunky. Oh, you know what it is? We should call it Friday Flunky.
Friday Night Flunky.
Yeah, Friday Night Flunky. The hit show to Friday. The hit sequel to Friday Night Lights. Yes. So the Frightened Flunky in this position isn't really that big. It's just that it allows Nalguidan to squeeze in more efficient tempo plays, which is fairly important given that StrifeCro has 1 Brawl in the hand that he just drew and a Shield Slam. That's his removal tools. Warpath ain't gonna do nothing against 2 Morden.
Yeah, well, he can kill it, but it's
Okay.
I think he was hoping for his own Armagadillo there.
Or Ziliax number 2.
And if he doesn't kill this, then it's gonna get buffed
Hey.
more.
Flunkies always flunk together. Exhibit A, America's Grandmasters casters. Wow, not playing anything here. Seems like he's going to prioritize letting his opponents extend onto the board and then go for the brawl.
All right, the chain ends here.
Well, I still think it's good to just have, you know, a safeguard.
Oh yeah,
6/7.
yeah. I think he doesn't want to play anything this turn because he wants the buff to be active. So I think safeguard playing the kind of just the biggest thing.
Lumi.
Yeah. He's the most impactful.
Or as the British say, the restless mothers.
So this 2 Morden is dying 9-13 now, or 9-12. I mean.
It gets +6/+6. It'll go from a 3-6 to a 9-12.
Wow. And StrifeCro,
he says back in his seat because he sees another flunky.
yeah. I think Warpath probably has to be slated here, just because there is an indicator whether or not our Megadillo is buffing something. It doesn't tell you how many things it's buffing, like most hand buff cards.
The laser goes off.
Yeah, it just tells you that something is being buffed. And obviously, StrifeCro saw a Friend Funky play last turn, so he knows at least one thing. And he can narrow it down and say the first one also buffed something because that laser, but it was the Armegadillo. So he may not know that Tomb Warden is there, but he at least knows that this Armegadillo needs to be dealt with. Yeah, that's 2 9-12s. In Brawl, he could throw in a couple Frightened Flunkies in Brawl. But if 1 9-12 survives, then he could be in some trouble. But he has a 50-50.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
This matchup at the very least is funnier.
It is. And then StrifeCro's like, why didn't I play Quest Warriors?
All right, well, he wins the Brawl.
Oh, man. All that Armegadillo train for nothing. Well, he still has a safeguard.
Yeah,
And also, he did bait out StrifeCro's Brawl for 1 card.
that's true.
Tomb Warden. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not really a 1 card in a purest sense because he did invest a bunch of turns leading up to it. Oh, okay. Being drawn. And StrifeCro still doesn't have a way to deal with the 6/7 taunt.
He doesn't, but he could find his own Armegadillo.
Oh, actually, he does. He does have shield slam.
Oh, yeah. Shield block, armor up, shield slam would do it. Restless Mummy also. The counter pressure available for StrifeCro would be there if he finds Armegadillo from Frightened Flunky.
He's not going to find it. We know exactly what he's going to discover from
He's going to find another one, another Frightened Flunky.
He's gotten
This place is
so many of them.
What? Ziliak's still very good.
I like to report a bug. That was his 5th flunky. The 5 frightened flunkies. That's a great name for a band. Move aside, ETC. We have a new Blizzard-themed rock band. The 5 frightened flunkies just sounds like the name of our caster group every time it goes to the Masters Tour. 5! I want someone to calculate the percentage of what's actually the chance of discovering a frightened flunky, and then we'll do the math from there. Someone on Twitter will do it. They usually do.
I don't know how much class cards are weighted. I don't remember. I know that the number's out there somewhere.
Yes.
I know they're weighted more heavily.
I will give you 15 seconds of Hearthstone Grandmasters fame on broadcast. If it's anything. TJ will follow you on Twitter. I don't know if you do that. I'll follow you. You do follow. Oh, you're talking about
No, I'll follow.
the person that does this.
Yeah,
Great.
The theoretical you.
Yeah.
You in a general sense.
The royal you.
The frightened we.
StrifeCro picks up Eternium Rover. That's pretty weak, but he does have ways to combo it with Ziliax. He's been holding on to these Tomb Wardens for a while, and all of a sudden, the resource generation from Frightened Flunky is finally catching up to Nalguidan.
Yeah, and one of the things that's sort of missing from Warrior in its current iteration is card draw.
Yes.
No Acolyte Pains making their way into these decks. Only one on Mega Assembly for Nalguidan. It's effectively shield block, which Nalguidan doesn't even have any of. He's relying on Azalina Soul Thief to, and Dr. Mad Genius, I suppose, to be the resource generation that can pull him across the finish line.
I think this is really clever use of Warpath and weaving in the attacks and the Eternium Rover himself. Really nicely done by StrifeCro, because he recognizes that in the Bomb Warrior matchup, he needs life. Nalguidan not going to play a single thing.
Wow.
And this is sort of the, you know, obviously mentioned the downside of the lack of card draw, but also just the nature of playing like Bomb Warrior, Control Warrior does have time on its side.
For the most part.
If it's able to accrue the resources. And the way that you try to get ahead of it is tempo. But Nalguidan lost all of his resources, and StrifeCro winning that brawl was massive. It wouldn't have been over. It's just that StrifeCro would have had to like use 2 more in Restless Mummy to kill it. So he'd be out like another card and a half here.
What now?
It's an interesting situation for StrifeCro, though. There's a lot of incentive to dump resources because of Azalina.
Right, you don't want to be holding that many cards.
You don't want to be holding that many cards, and you want to try and play for tempo. Is he just not going to play anything? I guess the onus is on Nalguidan to pile on aggression, but for the reasons I just mentioned, I do like just playing stuff onto the board.
Yeah, I'm kind of hard-pressed to imagine why he doesn't want to play 2 more in this spot, but I think based on what... Whew. Okay, 2 Augmented LX and a Reg Caliber. So you shuffle 3 bombs in?
Yes, but there's a weird interaction that happens with Archivist Elysiana. If you don't have Azalina Soul Thief in hand, if you go too early on the bombs, then that opens up the opportunity for the Control Warrior player to play Azalina to get rid of the bomb, or to play Elysiana to get rid of the bombs. If your opponent is like further into fatigue, right? Because if Nalguidan has like 8 cards left and StrifeCro has a bunch of bombs in his deck, he can Elysiana, negating Azalina's effect on the fatigue scenario, getting rid of the bombs, so evening up there, and still being ahead of fatigue because he puts 10 cards in his deck.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you don't want to go all in on bombs too early in this matchup.
I mean, I agree, but I also somewhat disagree in certain scenarios. I mean, as a universal statement, I think you're right. I think that in certain scenarios, like, StrifeCro doesn't have Dr. Boom Mad Genius, for example. So if he Archivists, he's in a little bit of a weaker position, or
True.
a lot weaker position.
True.
It's also earlier in the game, in the sense that there's still 11 cards left. If you shuffle out of bombs, StrifeCro has to weigh if he's going to destroy the rest of his deck, versus, you know, and then you get him to Archivist a little bit before you, and then you'll still be in a position to potentially close the game. So, also, the last thing I want to say is that if you shuffle it earlier, it's a little bit harder to calculate when Elysiana will get played. If you shuffle them all in a big burst, like when StrifeCro's holding less than 10 cards, then that kind of encourages him to just go for it. Because then he knows that, oh, next turn I'm going to draw. I have like 5 out of 9 cards I'm going to draw that are bomb. I'm just going to do it now. If you shuffle it with like 13, 14 cards left, then they have a hard time calculating when to do it.
So again, I'd like to see StrifeCro use more resources.
Yeah, I do understand that he feels like he has inevitability on his side, so he can play a little bit slower. It is an unusual line that I think that a lot of other warriors might prioritize just getting us before.
Yeah. But there's always the thing that you mentioned, or sort of mentioned. If StrifeCro keeps a large hand size with an Omega Assembly, it means that if Nalguidan ever goes for a put a lot of bombs in his deck strategy, he could play Omega Assembly to fill up his hand and then try and discard some bombs, which one, negates fatigue, and 2, kind of gets rid of the advantage that Nalguidan has by playing a more aggressive version of the warrior. So, ooh, Dr. Boom Mad Genius picked up first for StrifeCro.
Neither player having Dr. Boom until their last 10 cards. This is a really big deal. StrifeCro's in a huge lead now, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
Nalguidan picking up his Dr. Boom would be really big. Oh, the other one.
Augmented Elec here would allow for 1 extra. Oh, looks like he's going to play Blast Master
One extra bomb per elephant.
Yeah.
And then sets up Blast Master for the following turn. I mean, it's time for him to go in.
Yeah, it's weird timing because he just saw Dr. Boom Mad Genius played, so the point you mentioned earlier about forcing Archivist Elysiana before Dr. Boom comes out is no longer a thing. But with his own, he has to play his own game plan now.
Maybe that's also why StrifeCro's holding on to 2 Wardens.
Oh, that's a huge Armagadillo.
Yeah.
Though,
Iliacs and 2/2 Mordants. I mean, he even has the ability to Omega Assembly and Delivery Drone. turning Rover. I think the one thing that's also on StrifeCro's mind is how do I take out these elephants? Security Rover will answer one of them. Spring Rocket answers another, but he does not have enough mana to do all that.
Yeah. One thing to note is you'd think that our Megadillo would be a mech.
It's a beast.
It's a beast.
Yeah, because it's an armored armadillo that brings the Armageddon.
It seems like it's a mechanical armadillo.
It's a beast. It's a bestial armadillo wearing armor.
Yeah.
So yes, it should. It makes sense if it was a mech.
But it also makes sense that it's a beast.
It also makes sense if it's a beast. It's a beast mech.
If only we had dual tribes.
Oh boy. And there's a lot more bombs that can get shuffled in here if Nalguidan draws another bomb source.
Well, I guess he does have Wrench Caliber and another Clockwork Goblin. Two Morden's decent to protect, but then he wouldn't be able to kill this Armageddon. He can push some damage, but unfortunately, StrifeCro's going to be able to fight back in a very big way. Especially with Dr. Boom, these two Mordens are now 5 attack, which means they can trade very easy. He can just 2 Morden hero power and clear the board in full. And I honestly think that's kind of the play that stands out to me as the most efficient. Maybe Dynamatic, because Dynamatic's hard card to use, and Augmented Elix are the cards that can deal with that the best. But if he hero power Dynamatics, he would have to like trade in his whole board in order to get like full value. So I think just 2 more hero powers the play that makes sense. And this is going to be an uphill climb for Nalguidan.
Yeah, it needs Dr. Boom like now. Well, he does find another Clockwork Goblin, but it's a little bit late. Also, you know, quite frankly, Nalguidan playing Clockwork Goblin to shuffle even more bombs in makes Archivist Elysian even more appealing.
Yep, and he doesn't have Azalina yet, so if StrifeCro plays the Archivist Elysiana before Azalina comes down, it's a rough situation because he no longer has that card in his back pocket to help protect him in fatigue.
Yeah.
So nothing kind of lining up here for Nalguidan. He's forced to go in with things way sooner than he needs to.
So this brawl, if he wins, is obviously great. He wins the brawl. Wow. So, you know, Nalguidan gets to return the favor of StrifeCro. He wins the brawl. That being said, Nalguidan dumping the brawls makes StrifeCro feel like he has to worry about the Azalina.
Yeah, and this is nice timing from StrifeCro. There's a lot of bombs in his deck, and he wants to play it before Azalina comes out. So now StrifeCro has a 3-card lead in fatigue. Blastmaster Boom is effectively shut off. There's no bombs left.
Right.
So Nalguidan slightly punished for not playing the Blastmaster last turn, and StrifeCro has a massive resource advantage and can dump things and play for tempo now. And we'll catch up on the what was picked because I kind of glossed over it. We'll show it in a few moments.
Oh, he has a Clockwork Goblin in hand. He can go for Blastmaster Boom.
Yeah.
Snip, snap.
Oh, snip, snap.
The nuts. Not that he really needed it, to be honest. I feel like StrifeCro's so far ahead.
So Archivist Elysiana is the Wasteland Scorpion, the 3/9 with Poisonous for 7 mana. Rabid Worgen, the Portal Fiend?
Yeah, Portal Fiend where it shuffles demons into your deck, or portals to your deck if you draw them.
Yeah.
Do them. And then Blastmaster Boom, like you mentioned. Nalguidan drew Azalina this turn. So had he played Blastmaster Boom, he would have warranted a reaction from StrifeCro. Then he would have drawn out Azalina Soul Thief. Obviously, results-oriented thinking. But that's one thing that you kind of mentioned, which is like, by playing the Brawl and playing all those other cards, it sets off alarm bells in StrifeCro's head, where it's like, oh, he's dumping his hand. I need to place Archivist, otherwise I'm going to lose in the fatigue situation.
Yeah.
So, Nalguidan, I guess, accidentally made StrifeCro too worried about that.
Yeah, that's why I said all the timing was off, right?
Yeah, the timing was like slightly off in a couple different directions.
I don't disagree because I think that the way Nalguidan's hand was panning out without picking up Dr. Boom Magius, without picking up Azalina, and then the Blastmaster Boom picked up with double Elic and Red Caliber equipped.
Sure.
He's like, I gotta go now.
Yeah,
but,
I understand. I understand the reasoning behind it. It's just that I think it wasn't optimal. And
agreed.
now it's like Blastmaster Boom is a 7-mana 7/7.
Cool.
Azalina Soul Thief picks up like other stuff, then he loses his own Blastmaster Boom. Ironically enough, if StrifeCro draws a Blastmaster Boom, it'll give Nalguidan's hand a little bit of life because there's a Clockwork Goblin in there. But now he's just so far behind on the tempo, he's gonna brawl and have to hope that he wins again. And even then, he's not developing anything.
Yeah, it's also less resources each turn that he's gaining from Azalina Soul Thief, because StrifeCro is going to start just playing cards for tempo, especially now that both brawls are gone. It's like the sky's the limit for how aggressive he can be.
Yep, that's probably gonna do it. Dr. Boom, bottom 5 cards here for Nalguidan.
Yeah, Spellbreaker has been played, which means that, yeah, this is a 11-17 Tomb Warden.
Yep, looking lights out here. Nalguidan does have one final hope.
And that's it.
Well, it's the idea that he can get Mecha. And it's unlikely to matter because he's so far behind on the board that he can't even reasonably live to that point. He finds a Clockwork Goblin, all right.
But can't
Knowing,
Mad Genius's turn.
Knowing the way the series is going, StrifeCro's about to draw a bomb.
Yeah. Nalguidan has already played both Omega Devastators, and that is his only Omega Assembly. So he can't get more Omega Devastators unless StrifeCro's holding on to one, and he picks up with Azalina Soul Thief, but then it's a full turn delay. There's the Wasteland Scorpion for StrifeCro. Kind of an interesting card. One of the largest poisonous cards. I think it might be the most expensive poisonous card at 7 mana. 7 mana, 3/9.
Unity, precision,
How big can we get this boy? One Emp Operative, please. Oh my goodness. Out of control.
74 life, a 16/21 Tomb Warden with Divine Shield and Lifesteal.
Okay, go for the Azalina. I mean, it makes sense because then he can dump his hand, but his StrifeCro's hand is even more useless than Nalguidan's hand.
3 Dynamatics against the mech.
Yeah. He finds the Wasteland Scorpid. I wasn't even sure if a lot of the players knew this was a card.
I've been playing a little bit of Arena lately, so
I mean, you know.
yeah.
Poisonous is a very effective card in Arena.
Yeah.
Specifically, mechanic.
I don't pick Wasteland Scorpion often, but it's really good.
When you do, you choose those seconds. Yeah, I kind of want a Clockwork Goblin shuffle in here because there's 3 cards remaining and you have a chance for lethal. But it doesn't really matter.
I mean, this 16/21 is not going anywhere. StrifeCro knows what Nalguidan's hand is. Another Blast Shield.
Wait.
Hey!
There we go.
Bottom 3.
He just wanted to see it being drawn. That's going to do it. StrifeCro 2-0. Now down with the bottom 3, Dr. Boom Mad Genius. But gotta say that StrifeCro navigated this matchup fairly well and kept his resources. Got lucky where it mattered. And more importantly, stayed calm the entire time despite non-stop taunt minion trains coming at him in the very beginning. Because that early game curve made it look like Nalguidan was going to win.
Yeah, it did. And, you know, Nalguidan, a lot of, like, unfortunate timing for him in that series. Dr. Boom Mad Genius in the bottom 3 cards. A lot of things kind of went wrong. He lost the big brawls in the early game with his huge Tomb Wardens. But honestly, I think that the series could have been tied 1-1 after this game.
Sure.
Look back at game 1. So he didn't put himself in a position to have a bad game like this with poor panouts.
Yeah, of course.
And give himself a game 3, which he could have because of that misstep in game 1. So you can look at that game and be like, wow, Nalguidan just got destroyed. But, you know, everything, you know, happens in a series can play into those types of things. And I think that we could have been seeing a game 3 had the very end of game 1 gone differently.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in a best of 3, those small little narrow margins get accentuated even more.
Absolutely.
So you get punished harder for not being on point, and vice versa. You get rewarded a lot more for being on point, and your opponent messes up. We're going to try to get StrifeCro on the line for a brief interview and a couple of words on his victory momentarily. But, you know, a big win for him, and I know that he was also traveling to Korea, so he stayed a little bit longer for a couple of days, I believe. So perhaps his jet lag isn't really that big of a deal, considering that he seemed to be perfectly fine.
Yeah, it seemed like he was playing on point. StrifeCro's traveled a lot, and I'm very excited to watch StrifeCro play for the rest of the season. He had a great start last season, not the best of finishes in the second half.
That's right.
But you know, StrifeCro has been one of the best like multi-class format players for a long, long time, and especially, I feel like the decks in the current metagame suit him well. There's a lot of good, like grindy, control-y style decks, 2 Highlander decks and Warrior that play into his wheelhouse. I'm very excited to see him play.
Let's go ahead and chat with StrifeCro right now. See what he's up to. Kong, you there?
Yo, what's up?
Not much. How was the series for you? How did it feel?
I felt good. I think I had pretty good RNG throughout the series. Nice little birthday present.
Oh,
it's your
that's
birthday?
right. Today is your birthday?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, StrifeCro.
I'm old.
How old, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 31 today.
Okay.
That's right. This day in history, StrifeCro was born 31 years ago.
There's our this
Yeah.
day in history today.
All right. Congrats. Happy birthday. Glad that you're able to finish that one relatively quick so you can enjoy your night. The second game, we noticed that you were holding on to Tomb Wardens a lot. You had like the opportunity to seize tempo for a few turns. Actually, why don't you just explain why? Because we have a couple of theories as to what your thought process was during those turns.
I guess I had like a pretty decent equilibrium state there. Time was on my side if we just both hero powered. I thought that I did know he had Azalina Soul Thief, but I didn't think that it was time yet at that time when I was holding the Tomb Wardens. Mostly my thought process was if I play the Tomb Wardens, it allows him to develop mostly his Omega Devastators for tempo, which I didn't want because he was like the aggro deck, so I wanted him to have to play the 4/5s as kind of like Yetis over Devastators. He ended up like Devastator in a 1/1 later on in the game, so that felt good. I also kind of wanted to play the minions after he played a little bit so that I wouldn't just get brawled. Like say I'm empty or I have like a 1/1 I play, 2 of those, he has a really easy brawl. Whereas if I wait for him to play something first, then I can play into it. Then if he brawls his own board as well. So that was my thought process there. I might play it a little bit too slow. It felt okay though.
No, it's really smart. You had a good read on his hand. You had like a Mega Devastator and 2 Alex for a while. So
And he got rewarded by our Megadilla pickup.
Yes.
Which ended up buffing the Tomb Wardens. So
Right.
all in all,
Yeah, that's
everything worked
another
out.
reason.
Yeah.
for sure, well done. How do you feel about the format? We've been asking players around Grandmasters so far.
I actually like it a lot more than last season. I actually enjoyed playing a lot of decks. I felt like last season I was just playing a lot of decks, but it was specialists, and I kind of felt bad that I was playing a lot of decks because you could pretty much get away with just playing one deck, like better, I guess. Devote your practice time towards that. I have like too much like ADHD to play one deck forever, so I need to kind of keep it mixed up,
It's good. It's good. You okay? How's your adjusting from the jet lag? I mean, I know that you don't usually wake up super early on Saturdays or any day.
Yeah, I'm actually adjusting okay. I actually like woke up maybe like 15 seconds before the pick ban phase of my thing. I just
knew
was
it.
doing Discord in bed. I was like, oh, I was actually kind of sleepy. Yeah, I slept like maybe 5 a.m. yesterday and woke up at like 11 to play. I actually meant to sleep super early yesterday, but I just couldn't. I kind of have like this weird jet lag right now. So
Yeah, I feel you. All right, well, we won't take too much of your time. It is your special day. Happy birthday from all of us here at Hearthstone Grandmaster and Hearthstone Esports, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, that's what you want to see, Earn a little money, because obviously every best of 3 has cash on the line here for the players.
500 extra bucks.
Yeah, you made money on your birthday. Usually that's the point where you lose a lot because you're drinking apple juice to hang out and commemorate the day.
I mean, the price of apple juice at around town these days is through the roof, especially in Los Angeles.
Yeah, you start off the day looking like StrifeCro, end the day like Alex Straza in true fashion.
Yep.
All right, so with that, our second series is done. We're kind of, we were cruising on by. It's 2-0, but the second game, a little bit of a barn burner there.